Hi. Operation Glasshouse is upon us as of today, and no, I am not that fast to give you all the first impressions. I will, however, be here to let you know all about what the update consists of, my thoughts, my predictions on how good it is, and then you can play and laugh at me for being hilariously wrong about most of the shit I say. Love of God! For the love of God! I'm Six Snipes, and you're watching This Week in SANDSTORM. Update 1.12, otherwise known as Operation Glasshouse, now probably more famously being known to everyone at this point as being that update that they leaked on DeviantArt, is finally out, and unlike my last video covering it, we now know all the details. Yes, I am aware that people wanted to hear from me earlier after the entire last season of Gun Guide's entire point, and then immediately afterwards the revelation of this. However, I wanted to wait for all of the content to be released and was admittedly suspicious that the paid Insurgent cosmetic was being held back for so long and didn't want to have to make a third video about this update, suddenly taking a turn and then another before it actually comes out, so here we are. And update 1.12, Glasshouse is actually shaping up to be a relatively positive one, if not particularly earth-shattering. As for the exact content of this update, we have the same 2 guns in a map formula for everyone, plus 2 uniforms and skin sets for either pass holders or anyone who feels like paying that we're all used to. Same as this one, this one, this one, and arguably even this one in a row. So with that in mind, if you take away anything from this video, it's that if anything, this is pretty much what you'd come to expect from the game post Nightfall. And if you are looking for anything more, maybe because you're looking for a reason to come back to Insurgency and stay, this is probably not going to completely change the game for you or anyone else for that matter. Let's get into it. First, and most excitedly to seemingly everyone, will be the addition of the not new, however fan-made map that's made its rounds through the modding community about a year ago in the form of Prison. Now available to vanilla PC players, as well as larger still, console owners, anyone like me who hasn't dropped into it yet and maybe have only watched videos of it, if that, can now experience the winner of the community map contest from early last year. Between the time of its winning and its publishing in this game, anything between moderate levels of bug patching and balancing to a complete retooling on the part of the developers could have occurred, but from both the screenshots and this incredibly cool fly-through posted, it would appear that the map is not only largely the same as it was, but also massive for it is otherwise a closer quarter-centric zone, making for what could easily be an even more popular iteration of the less campy, closed-off maps such as Ministry Intel. I'm ready. Personally, having never played it, I am excited, and given all the time they've had to work on it, I expect that unlike other entries, it will have more polish and better play experience than the past. To accompany it are, of course, the guns. Okay, so basically the Breacher class is getting its like 20th edition in the shape of the KSG for security and KS-23 for insurgents. Could there have been a better choice for a more deserving class that hasn't had any meaningful content since the literal alpha of the game? Yes. Is it a new gun? Maybe. Let me explain. My reaction and everyone's to the announcement of the KSG specifically was probably best described as a mixed bag. Sure, it's a shotgun, which is technically qualified to be what the community voted for in the poll they created at the end of last year. However, when you hear shotgun, you probably think of a plethora of different legendary models, pump action, gas operated, mag fed, or other that at the very least hold some sort of fame with both the gaming and gun community in general. The KSG is none of these. What you have is basically a bullpup pump action shotgun with ambidextrous controls, downward ejecting ports, and most notably 2 different internal tubes which hold 7 shells each and the capability to toggle between them. Heard of it? Probably not. It is a gun whose uses are exclusively first world policing forces at best, but more realistically redneck civilians sold on that "this ain't your daddy's shotgun" line peddled on the website at worst, i.e., where does this fit into the setting of a Middle Eastern conflict?
Why?
Security forces, private contractors, and governments surely have access to the weapon, but overwhelmingly prefer more tried and tested models such as the United States Marine Corps standard M1014, which everyone knows and has tons of fans, or else if you really want to stick with the pump action, the Franchi Spaz 12, or any other number of those famous Italian shotguns everyone and their dad is aware of. When people voted to add shotguns, I imagine they were thinking of iconic classics like the trench gun or Mossberg, and not something nobody, including myself, had knowledge of prior to this update and does not really actually hold up upon closer inspection in this setting. This weapon is a gimmick gun, which isn't even the first to have a feature like it does and is not used by anyone. If you're absolutely sold on the idea of a double capacity shotgun, the UTS-15 carries the identical function of two 7-round 12-gauge tubes and is moreover actually used by the special forces of a nation that is central to the setting, and unlike the KSG, makes sense. Is this terrible? No. Could it be in the setting? Sure. Is it as unrealistic as the Desert Eagle, FAMAS, and P90 being readily available to the terrorists? Certainly not, but it's undeniably a disappointment, especially when it makes what is ultimately a pointless modification to a weapon which already exists within its class, as opposed to helping out an entire class which hasn't had significant development since people still thought vines were funny, or else making a functionally different shotgun. Now about that. In real life, this weapon contains the ability, and really the whole point of it is to utilize the toggle between the two tubes to effectively have something which can switch back and forth between ammunition types. Generally something like a lethal shell and then something like a rubber slug or assault shot for riot control, which is probably the logic as to why it belongs in a prison. However, without this feature, it appears to be literally a double capacity variant of a gun which was already capable of topping itself off without switching magazines or ammunition belts to begin with, and virtually never runs out of ammo in practice already. Without this feature, the KSG is almost certainly going to be as underwhelming as I think. It's just another pump action 12 gauge. And if you are watching this at any point in time, you are already capable of going in game and checking to see if I am right about the fact that New World Interactive's team will not have included this, and make your own judgments as I will make mine. But know that that specific feature could be really cool, but in practice will likely be lost alongside the features of other weapons that they have added and just become no different than all the rest, and really is my make or break circumstance for if it's a good addition. Much briefer, I am much more excited for the KS-23, a far larger caliber shotgun for the insurgents, which is both known by several communities for its brutal efficiency and official classification as a literal artillery piece, and also ability to make sense in the hands of who is using it, so I will reserve judgment for it, as well as with much more optimism than before. Finally, as for cosmetics, I will take this moment to say that while I am underwhelmed by the free access security cosmetic, which was already leaked, since tweaked to look a little more annoyed, and in my opinion looks like MGE Gibbs sounds, and the paid cosmetic is literally so similar to the Peacemaker that I frankly would not buy one if I had the other, I will say that the free access Insurgent cosmetic slaps in giving the Brothers in Allah a much needed and very realistic beard, awesome head garb, and underwhelming, but in the context of a prison, sensical garb. It's what was requested and it's very fitting, and honestly the paid Insurgent cosmetic is on the poster what I thought would be some special enemy in PvE or the skin for an Insurgent VIP if they ever so chose to add that as a feature in the VIP mode, but really on a player doesn't look unrealistic at all. It's a little accented and almost certainly over embellished in the images, as in-game where faces look like this, I guarantee your guy will not look this good. However, the prison uniform, tank top, and air restriction mask used for working out but more characteristic of someone we all know and idolize are all things which fit to the setting and really set off no alarms for me. So there it is, I said it. None of these blow me away, however I do welcome the addition of all of the cosmetics because they're cool and they fit, and those two parameters being the only things that matter aren't that hard to fulfill. If I had to summarize this update, or at least how it looks, you get one giant, okay, sure, the map has me excited actually, but the guns don't. We've asked for machine guns forever, and the breachers have officially got 6 new weapons before the gunners have received any, and no, I'm not going to count the 2 functionally identical rifles in a class literally named Gunner. They didn't even have the decency to at least make the new weapons skin bundles include a machine gun camo. Evidently this would just kill them, and instead elected to give skins to guns which predominantly have at least one already, whereas there are still tons of weapons that don't have any. Overall, if you're looking for meaningful content to play in this game, that's up to you, but I don't even see mention of a new mode like the last couple have done, so that outlook doesn't look so good, and really, I would hazard guess that while at least uncontroversial, this update is not presenting a whole lot people haven't already seen. But I'm forgetting that we still have the update to play, and while 3 gun guides in another video with my thoughts will delay my 25k sub special, I promise to you it is being made, sort of. Until then, or else the gun guide, which is coming much faster than you may believe, I'm Six Snipes, and this has been your week in Sandstorm. I'll see you out there in Glasshouse. One machine gun, just one, you stupid fuck.